Trades used to be something you learn from your dad or from your boss on the job site. Now you can learn to build a house on TikTok. Talk about how social media has completely changed the trade industry, both for better and for worse. What's up, everybody? My name is Jared. I got started in the trades when I was about 14 years old. I started working part-time with my dad, who's a general contractor, doing odds and end things, carpentry, and sort of just all the tasks that no one wants to do when you're a general contractor. And around 15, 16 years old is when I started to notice trades-related content online, mostly on YouTube. And the first creator that I remember seeing was, you guessed it, Matt Pinella, also known as Matt Bangs Wood. Super stoked to say is now actually a really good friend of mine. 16-year-old Jared would have been peeing his pants right now. But Matt and other creators like him were showcasing their work, showcasing the environment, and really just sort of being an advocate for the excitement and the fulfillment that comes from working in trades. Being able to see from an outside perspective someone else succeeding in the trades, making it cool and making it fun, really helped push me in the direction that I wanted to go. And that brings me to one of the biggest positives about social media in construction. The wealth of knowledge online is just incredible. I mean, you can pretty much Google any kind of thing you want to build, and there'll either be a great video on it or a not so great video, but it still shows what you need to know. And this was definitely something that I seriously took advantage of, especially when I was getting into the trades. And I still do to this day, actually. Years ago, there used to be this mindset that if you had a trick on how to do something the best, you kept it to yourself because that was your edge. That was the leverage that you had over your competition. But now in the trades, there's this sort of community online where sharing with people actually becomes so big that it no longer becomes a competition. Because when I share a trick, carpenters literally across the world can be learning from this trick. And the reality is, the ones within my local area that might actually take that is not that huge. So what's great about that is this wealth of knowledge is just getting spread and shared, and it's not being safeguarded so much, which allows young carpenters like myself to be able to learn and grow at a much faster pace because these guys with more experience in these great tricks are just sharing them. The community itself has been awesome as well, where you're really able to talk with other professionals who are passionate about their craft. And that also is great because on a local level, it's hard to find people that are super passionate about every aspect of their job. But the reality is, when you get into social media and online, the only people who are going to be posting about their jobs are people who like their jobs. And the people who are demotivated and they don't like their job, the reality is they're not going to be passionately sharing about anything. So that's what's kind of nice about the social media community, is it kind of automatically weeds out the people that don't actually care about it. I remember on a project a few years ago, I had a newer carpenter working with me, and he had been working with me for a few weeks. He wasn't doing horrible, but it wasn't absolutely amazing. So I remember one day we were sheeting the roof, and I told him, hey, you know what? There's this guy who's got some really cool roof content. His channel is called Framing Beast, and it's pretty self-explanatory. This guy's a framer, and he's a beast. He's super fast, and he does good work. And I told him, like, hey, you should watch some of his videos. Like, I just suggested that. The next day, it was like this guy was a different person. Like, he just, by seeing the craftsmanship and just his hustle alone, it changed his perspective of how he can work on the job site. And it literally changed him as a carpenter from that day forward. And that was just a super clean-cut example of how the community and the exposure through social media can inspire and help others to grow. Now, another awesome aspect of social media is its marketing capabilities. I recommend to everyone that works in construction, or really in any business, that you have a social media, because it basically is free marketing, or at least very low effort marketing. And it lets you showcase both your work and your personality to your clients before they talk to you, which is awesome, because really that's like one of the most hard parts of getting leads, is sort of figuring out the personality mesh. Even if at the end of the day we're all just doing carpentry, there's lots of varieties of mentalities and styles and craftsmanship itself, and that comes down to personalities as well, where someone who's easygoing to a super high-end particular client might be like, okay, that's a red flag because this guy's not going to be obsessing over every single thing. Whereas other people might be like, no, I don't want the guy who obsesses over everything because he's going to be more expensive, whatever. That's just great, where like your true style and who you really are, which will really convey to the clients that you want, will come across in your social media, and it'll not only generate leads, but it will generate leads that you want. So that's definitely something that's valuable. I'll be making a video specifically on social media marketing your business pretty soon. Now, with every positive, there's always a negative, so let's talk now about the negatives of social media and the trades. Now, the first one that I feel like is probably the most prevalent is the comparison culture. And this is honestly the biggest downside of social media in general, is that by and large, everyone is putting the good stuff out there. That's something I always tell people if they see me at a trade show or recognize me somewhere in public. They say like, oh, like I love your stuff, you do good work. I always tell them like, hey man, I only post the good work. I was like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And I kind of say it as a joke, like, oh yeah, it's easy to look good when that's the only part you show. But there's also a realistic aspect of that. But that's also good to understand in how you perceive other people as well, where you might get an unrealistic self-image because you're basing so much of your business and your work on how good everyone else's is, when the reality is, like I said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Not everything goes perfect all the time. Not everything makes a perfect, awesome Instagram post. And if you let that get to your head, that can really bring down your morality and it can demotivate you. Now, another downside or cautionary thing I would say about social media is, and it's a great thing, but it's also a dangerous thing, is that anybody can have a social media. And the reality is that if you film something with a nice enough camera and say it with a certain tone of voice, people will respect you and they will listen to what you have to say. That can mean that people might be pushing techniques and advice that isn't actually the best advice. There definitely is something to be said about that. And that's why I have extra respect for creators and people who share online who emphasize, hey, I'm not saying this is the best way, this is just the way I like to do it, because it still shows a little bit of humility, which is really commonly lost in social media now, that I think showcasing that is a green flag in terms of the credibility of their account. Now, definitely another downside that comes with the social media aspect is sort of the influencing and honestly the stuff that I'm doing, the stuff that Matt is doing, the stuff that Awesome Framers is doing, RR Buildings, Perkins Brothers, like all this stuff. Like we're giving and creating content for the community that is educational and beneficial to the industry, but the reality is we are being compensated for it. And other people can see that, and other people will chase after that. And the reality is, even if we're being compensated for it, each one of us creators is pursuing it as a passion. And the reality is, being a content creator is not a good business strategy, because most of us did it for free for several years before we made a dime. And that's pretty much how you can expect it to go if you want to get into it as well. But nonetheless, you will see a very high volume of people essentially just searching for free stuff, which can be a little bit frustrating, or it sort of just seems ingenuine. Don't get me wrong, everybody loves free stuff, but it comes to a point where, are you a part of this community because you're passionate about it, or are you a part of this community because you want free stuff? Now, it's definitely important to understand how we can use the social media as a tool for the average tradesperson. What's really cool to me, and something that I learned pretty early on, is a lot of these creators that I'm kind of obsessed with and like super admire, is that when I have a problem at work, I might be like, oh, there's literally this professional guy out there somewhere in the world who like has done this thing, who knows the answer to this question. I can literally shoot him a DM online. And the first couple times I did that, I was shocked by the fact that I got a response. And that really is a value of the tool, is it's a network for professionals. When you have questions, or if you need advice or something on how to do something, you can literally reach out to people and get that advice and get access to those resources. Another awesome aspect of it is you can be that person for other people as well. The reality is, like, I wasn't just reaching out to like influencers, I was just reaching out to successful contractors. They didn't have to have a ton of followers for me to be able to see their work and be able to see that this guy knows what's going on. And the same goes for how your clients see you. They don't need to see a ton of followers. All they need to see is that you're local, you do good work, and pretty much that's it. Now, at the end of the day, the trades are still the trades. They're still as blue collar as they ever were. But honestly, what's great about it is now we have this sort of global classroom where everyone can learn together, everyone can contribute. It's sort of just like a Wikipedia of trades knowledge and experience. But what's great is it's also inspiring and bringing in a whole new generation of tradespeople, much like myself, which is just awesome to see, because it really, really is changing the environment of the trades. There was definitely a period of time where people getting into the trades were in it because it was their only option, not because it was their passion. But now we're seeing people that where it's shown to them and presented to them as this amazing opportunity, they're viewing it that way and they're chasing after it that way, which really is just so amazing. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to talk with you a little bit about social media and how I feel like it's affected the trades. I'm just sitting in my truck waiting for an inspector to show up, so I've got way too much time. But I would love it if you guys would share some cool social media experiences in the trades you've had. I definitely want to make a video talking about my personal experiences with social media, how that has affected our business, how we are generating leads from that, how it has turned into a business in and of itself. But yeah, I appreciate you guys sticking around, listening to me yap on, and yeah, I'll catch you guys later.